we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion.
Combustion. Coming to you from Denver, Colorado. This is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
Yes, it's definitely great to be back, and we have an amazing man back on the couch tonight. Justin.
What's up?
Have seen so much growth from you. You've been bringing so many smiles on people's faces, but what's great about this conversation is that people will get to know you better than just the content you put out. And this is your second appearance on Discussion Combustion, so welcome back, man. Welcome back.
13 months later. Glad to be back, man.
That flew by, too. It seems like you were just on. You brought us those gifts last time at the old studio, of course, but it's been really fun to watch your growth.
Yeah, I just came back from Japan, and then I actually had my old hat. I got my old hat back, sent from Japan. They flew it over. A nice $70 mail-in express for it.
It was left behind there?
Yeah, I left it in Tokyo. And luckily, they're like, yeah, we have your hat. It'll cost like $70 to ship it back. And I love this thing so much. I was like, that's fine.
Did you leave it in like the hotel?
Yeah, I left it in the hotel.
Oh, bummer. I always leave some at the hotel, and it's usually my phone charger.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing to leave behind, I feel like.
Or a Nintendo Switch charger.
Yeah, I did that too.
And then you guys got a new studio. It looks so nice and so clean in here.
Yeah,
a lot of growth, transitions. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun to watch each other grow and support each other. And you've been a big support for us on social media. We try to do the same for you, of course. And it's funny because I was talking to my brother. He's like, who you got on this week? And I was like, that video that you posted on your Facebook the other day? It's like, that guy. He's like, wait a minute. Because my brother not even knowing that you were on before or that you were coming on, was already sharing your content. I'm like, yeah, that guy's coming on. He's like, no way. Is it a Zoom? I'm like, no, he's in studio. I was like,
awesome.
Those are the kind of moments that make what we do really fun.
Yeah.
You're reaching so many people, bringing joy, and that's what's great about podcasting and content creation in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And this guy is a fit machine. Look at how skinny you are, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I haven't really said this publicly yet, but I'm going to put this out on Facebook. Like, I'm looking forward to writing this out. So this month, about halfway, I'll be celebrating 36 months off of opiates.
Terrific.
And the way that my life has turned around, I've overcome being overweight. I've overcome like drinking, better eating habits, like everything. So I want to write some stuff out on that, and it's been interesting recently because whenever we get a repeat guest, everyone's always like, oh man, the weight loss, and I'm like, I'm so excited about it, and I keep it up, right? And it's a daily battle. It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
I guess I can ramble easily, so that's what I'm going to say to kind of encapsulate that is that I made major lifestyle changes, and it took a long time.
That's awesome.
It took a long time, but
Proud of you.
I stuck to it every day. So
you've done good, man, and you've motivated a lot of people. We'll run into people in the wild. They're like, art's helped me stay sober for a day or something like that. That's where it becomes a little bit more than what is going on in this room. It's like, wow, we're actually doing something.
It's almost like I feel like the progress I've made, I have to maintain it now to continue to be like that pillar,
Yeah, and it's such a nice outlet too, from going from like addiction to something that's beneficial to your health, like getting addicted to bettering yourself, getting better health, eating better, working out more. So it's a cool progression to see from here's where I was at. Look at how far I've come at the person you look in the mirror. That's such a cool success story, man.
Yeah, it means the world to me. I could easily get emotional about it, but in this post, I want to put older photos of myself next to where I'm at now and really go into detail so then, people can see that, like, if you stick, because you don't see the change day by day. Like, you just have to stay in it. You have to stay in it. And I encourage everybody to do that. And, that's how we see growth in business and like our passions, because not to jump back and forth, but like the 90s nostalgia, like that started as a project for you, and it blew up and continued to blow up. But I love seeing that, and it's like the daily thing. Like we have to do it daily if you actually want to be successful.
Yeah.
So
see the forest through the trees kind of thing. If you're too close, you focus on the micro when you want to look at the big picture. And that's much easier when you can go back 3 years and be like, oh man, here was my bottom, here's where my health was, and then you see now, that's going to motivate you even more. It's like, I've already come this far. Sky's the limit on what can be next for me.
Keep trucking.
Yep, and it opened up my mind that there is truly multiple lives within this one existence. You know, I'm kind of on the fence, like maybe reincarnation exists. I know that's a whole nother conversation there, but like I feel like I've lived a couple lives in this one existence, and everybody can do that, and regardless of how difficult it may seem to be today, regardless of if you're in an abusive situation or a toxic relationship or eating like shit or unfulfilling job, like whatever it is, like there's always like a way out, and like but it's always difficult. It's always going to be difficult. That's the thing, is like, fuck this corner cutting, quick, easy result bullshit. Like it doesn't exist.
Flash in the pan.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. Yeah. So I'll go off on all that, but okay. There's no finish line to this. There is no finish line, and you can always continue to grow and help others while you grow. So you got to stay humble though as you continue to grow and like, you know, become more influential. Like you have to stay humble because I was a lying piece of shit at one point in my life, and that was still part of my life. So I'm no better, you know, and this and that. So I don't know. That's the whole thing. I could ramble on for 30 minutes right there, and I appreciate you bringing that up, and that shows how humble you are as a creator, as a human being, and it's awesome to collaborate with you again. So cheers.
Cheers.
To having you back in, and appreciate the compliments, man, so much.
It's going to be a good one. We're going to have some fun for sure, man. Just the tale as old as time, sitting around a table and shooting the shit.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it, man.
Absolutely.
And, you know, give your followers an opportunity to hang out on the couch as well and kind of live vicariously as we go through this evening and just kind of shoot the breeze. There's no real agendas, nothing scripted. I think that's kind of my favorite part. But I do have a lot of questions.
I mean, I have a would you rather and some questions for our boy, too.
I'm all for it.
We got some good stuff, but you go, Kev.
Oh, no, I was just saying, you know, in regards to being a content creator, right? I mean, you've been in it, you've been doing it, you've seen the ups and downs, you've seen the struggles and the challenges. What do you think has been, like, since our last visit? Because I know we touched on this a little bit last time.
13 months. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 13 months.
Well, lots changed in 13 months.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as, you know, the business side of it and all that. What do you think has been the biggest challenge?
Probably just finding new ways to reach or connect with your audience in a, you know, for someone like my content, you can be heartfelt. You could go a lot of different routes. You can go like emotional, you can go comedy, you can go serious. For me, I try to stick on the lighter side of things. I like being funny. I like being self-deprecating. I like making people laugh. But you don't want to get too played out, right? Or like one, you know, a lot of people on TikTok, they do the same skit over and over because the algorithm pushes it. So from a business perspective, makes sense. You know, they'll make the exact same skit, change maybe a couple videos, couple words, but they'll do the same thing over and over again, and it works because it pushes it out. Instagram, I think it's a little different than it is on TikTok as far as what the algorithm wants. Plus, I think the demographics are a lot different. Like the crossover for skits I do on TikTok, I would say maybe translate 50% of the time over on Instagram. Like if I try and copy and paste a video, half the time it goes over well with my audience, and half the time they're like, what is this? It's really stupid, right? So it's always just trying to find, okay, what's a new series? What's the next series? Because you can start a series and then maybe do that for a couple months, couple weeks or something. Then it's on to the next thing, because it's always the challenge of I want to keep my existing audience, but I also want to continue to grow my audience. And if you stay stagnant with the same thing, that's never going to occur. So there's some loyalty to the people that, you know, which content brought them here. But you want to switch over too. So that's the biggest challenge, is like, damn, finding the time outside of my day job of what are some creative ideas or skits that I can do to keep people engaged, get new traction, find new audiences, try and be funny. Because original content is almost impossible nowadays. Like there's no original thought. I mean, maybe there is once in a blue moon, but
it's been done.
No matter what you do, someone's going to comment, it's like, oh, somebody already did that, or you're a copycat. And I think that's true to a degree, but it's like you see something and then you put your own variation on it, and then, you know, you make it your own. But, you know, trolls are going to be trolls. People are just going to be like, you're
always
piece
gonna
of
have
shit
haters.
anyway.
Always going to have them. And you know what? Good. Because when you have haters, you know you're doing something. When people have something to say, whether it's negative or positive, you're doing something. And I would relate to what you're saying to music a little bit, because we see cover tunes. Yeah. We see bands that are like, oh, that sounds like this song. It's like, well, yeah, there's only so many notes on a guitar. There's only so many chord progressions. Like, eventually, it's been done.
Yeah.
You just put your rendition on a little bit and give your flavor to it.
Yeah, and some of the best versions of the songs that I've heard are covers.
There you go.
Someone originally wrote it, but then who wrote Fast Car originally? I can't,
Oh yeah.
And then
And then Luke
And then
Combs,
Luke Combs
came
took it
out
to
with
another
it,
level.
and I prefer that version. But it's not his. But again, it's just what you're into personally. But yeah, that's probably the toughest thing is just finding new content and not taking stuff personally. I've actually, as far as my mental health goes, I've just stopped reading comments pretty
Yeah.
much
Probably the best
all
thing.
together.
Yeah.
Just because I would get so invested in these comments, and it's like 95% positive. Like
Yeah.
a majority of the comments are super nice. People find it funny or engaging, or it brings up some sort of story. And then you see that one comment, and you're just like, and it just gets under your skin.
Yeah.
And the worst part about being a creator is there's no good outcome if you try and respond, right? Because it's going to be one of two things. Either, because I want to clap back all the time.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think I'm very witty and I can get under people's skin, but it's like you comment back, then it's just going to snowball of other trolls being like, oh, it looks like you got under he got under your skin, stop being a baby and all that stuff. Or Instagram will flag you and be
Yeah.
like, or TikTok or whoever, and
Why
be
are
like,
you reacting?
yeah, or they'll punish you. It's like
Yeah.
this was a harassing or bullying. So for you to respond, there's no
not worth
benefit
it.
as much as you want to just
Yeah.
belittle someone who's being a total dick.
My whole viewpoint on all that, whenever anyone has something to say about anything that is going on in my life or whatever, is the view is really beautiful from the high road. It's gorgeous. You know, you're
Well-
up there. You just got that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like when people try to tell, I don't know if you deal with this, but people are like, you should do this or you should try that. And it's like constructive criticism is one thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fine with that. We're trying to help someone out, but it's another one. They're like, you need to do it this way because you're not doing it right or whatever. And it's like, I know we both had this thought. It's like, well, then maybe you should start your own podcast and then you can do it however you want.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know?
If you're such an expert, then
Yeah.
go for it. I don't get too many of those. I get people who give me ideas, and I think it's from like a genuine, like, oh, here's an idea for you, and it's from a place of wanting to help me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get all those. Sometimes I get DMs where it's like, you're gross, or dude, you're creeping people out. Like, go fuck yourself. I'm just like, where is this? Like,
Yeah.
where does that come from? Like, it's
Yeah.
just
Jealousy.
It's wild.
A lot of jealousy, I think.
Yeah, and for the close people that I've made a lot of friends on social media, like some close friends, and I have a group chat with some guys that I've met that have the same humor as I do, and they're like, you just can't listen to it. Like,
Yeah.
don't even read it because there's no benefit to just ruining your emotional state from someone that has absolutely no impact
Yeah.
on your life. And as my numbers keep growing, I know it's just going to keep getting
Oh, yeah.
greater. So, but yeah, I was being mentored by another creator. He's a military content creator, and he's just like, don't read it. Just don't even post, and then get out.
On to the
Like,
next.
And then move on. Yeah. And that's every successful content creator or guys that have these millions of views on YouTube or whatever, they're like, don't read the comments.
yeah,
Don't read the comments.
Yeah, I've heard that one a lot.
I mean, that's typically what most of them will say.
yeah, because it's like you don't get as high of a high as you think from the good comments, and then as soon as you read a bad one, it's like, damn, that just ruined my day.
Well, yeah, and it's like, I get it. In the very beginning, like, oh shit, someone left a comment. Like, I've started something. People are actually paying attention to it. Like, you're really interested. You're invested. Like, what is this thing that I'm building?
Yeah.
But as the creative content becomes a staple in your life, and you realize this is something I'm doing, and it becomes it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
You're doing it for you. Like, I know for a fact you enjoy making that content.
Yeah.
And it's fun for you. And so that alone, that you're creating happiness within your day and something that is fun for you to do, that's worth it alone, let alone all the other people that are also enjoying the content. And if people have stuff to say on the sideline, that's cool. But it's at the same time, it's generally if people are saying negative things like that, it's like a poison of the mind, this gossipy poison, negativity. Right? And it's if that's what you're putting out there, then I hope your day gets better. That's how I feel about if people are acting like that. It's I really do hope that your day gets better and that you can enjoy the clouds a little bit because it's life. It's happening.
My favorite thing is when my audience claps back at people. That is like my
when
that
they
is,
come
that,
in?
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I get like when
team.
my fans like defend me in the comments where I don't even have to respond. That is like
That's got to be fun
that
to
is
watch.
like the epicenter of like, oh, this dude got put in his place by someone else, so I don't have to worry about getting flagged. They can get flagged,
The
but
team comes in.
yeah, when you're just like, oh yeah, here's my squad, here's my loyal fans. But yeah, it's dumb. I know I shouldn't take it personally, but everyone's human, so it's
Yeah.
like, man, but why? Especially when it comes to like my content specifically, I could get someone who has like political views or views about you know,
Yeah.
sexual orientation getting attacked. Makes total sense, but like when it's so family oriented with my stuff, I
Yeah.
just don't understand like how it could offend people. But
Uh-huh.
we're in 2024.
a lot of things are offensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm offended by how your eyes pop in the videos. I'm offended
That's
by
what
that.
everybody said, dude, on
I'm
TikTok.
I'm offended by it.
Yeah. Everyone on TikTok's like, "What's wrong with your eyes?
He-
like,
he
how
has to-
high are you're on opiates?"
He
I
has
get
to
that
be using
all the time.
you have to be using a filter to get that kind of pop.
All the time. I get told like I'm on like 24/7 on actually on both of them. I'm like, how high? Like, look at how pinned his eyes are, and I'm just like, my eyes are always like this. Like, I have a job where I can't do drugs. I get drug tested. Like,
I've never thought that watching the videos. I don't know. I'm not sure.
it's absurd, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
I
and
mean,
also like if you're staring into like, you know, a light, like your pupils are gonna
Yes,
get
but
smaller. Like they get smaller. Like
yeah, they react to light.
Yeah.
I mean, people are always going to have something to say about something. That's just the bottom line. As Bill Belichick said, ignore the noise and do your job.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's always going to be noise. You got to go out there and get it done. And I like the post that you put up here recently on RIP Toby Keith.
yeah.
And, you know, heard you kind of react to that a little bit. And I know I was talking to Art about that when we got to the studio. You know, what he did for country music was unreal. And, you know, hearing you tell your story about it, kind of growing up on a little bit of farm ranching background,
Yeah.
you know, had a big impact in your life.
Well, and it was, you know, the great thing about Toby Keith is how much he supported troops. And my dad was military for 20 years, so that added like another layer of respect. I saw Toby Keith at Cheyenne Frontier Days in 2004. Actually, it was, what's his name? Sings the song. What was I? Oh, Dierks Bentley.
Dierks
opened
Bentley.
for-
My
he
man.
opened for Toby Keith at that concert. So
Yeah, I mean, 04, that would have been Dirk's first record.
yeah, he was just getting started,
Yep.
and it was an amazing concert out there. But it was just sad because I had multiple Toby Keith albums, and then you know he's so young, 62,
Yeah.
and then seeing him at the CMA awards of how he looked like he was like 120
rough,
pounds, and just
He looked rough.
it's sad to just see one of like a country music star that, or just anybody, right, that you grew up watching, like how fleeting life is, and it just is like, man, I'm getting old if these people ahead of me are
I know, right?
already dying.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we know life and death is a part of it, but it's always a reminder, you know,
Yeah.
that not to take life, you know, for granted, and that it can go away at any moment. But you know, stomach cancer, that's a rough one for sure. And I don't know, man. And he pretty much he came to peace with it, though. You know, he said in one of his last interviews, because he did a show like 5 days before he
Yeah.
passed. He's like, man, I'm just going to go out rocking, doing what I love, playing for my fans, and whatever happens, happens. He made peace with it. He tried the surgeries. He did the chemo.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, it is what it is at this point.
And that's what I think his like CMA show was just like saying goodbye to the
Yeah.
audience. But it's just, it sucks seeing all these people. Paulo just died. Chubbs.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Gilmore.
Chubb from Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
A lot of people have died.
A lot of
recently.
people kicking the bucket.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of it, and that's also what makes it so great too, is that it is truly temporary, and the more that we can appreciate our time while we got it, then the better, right? And it sounds so cliche, right? Like it really is. Like I'm coming up on 37, and I'm like, all these cliches are true, but anybody who is having a hard time, like, when's the last time that they sat there and actually tried to apply this shit to their life? Like, it's easy to say the cliche, but when you actually go to apply it, like, that's where you really realize, like, okay, how authentic am I? Like, you start thinking about yourself, and it's like, I don't know, man. With life just being so precious and everything, like, having these moments and the experiences that like I've overcome and that I've seen other people overcome, like it's really just about like having a sense of awe, like not losing your inner child. And I think that's also what kind of like keeps people really in love with the content you do, is it brings us back to our childhood and stuff. Even like the other day, like I on the Xbox, I got all the remastered Perfect Dark and all that shit.
Yeah.
And like I went to go shoot somebody in Perfect Dark, and I had just like smoked some pot, and so I was like in this zone, and I felt so nostalgic. But like what I've found is that as an adult, creating the right priorities in my life, I'm able to see like the beauty in life again, and have the creativity of a child with like things that are just fun. And anyone could do that. Anyone can tap into their inner child and like start being in awe of life again, and like starting to like see that light again. That's kind of like my piece on, you know, mortality. And since we're all gonna die one day, and like our parents are getting older, and like, you know, all this stuff is happening, like how can we make the most of it?
Yeah.
And it's like you got to make the most of it this very second, like right now, you know.
Gotta own it.
Yeah.
Get
So I don't know. That's like a whole nother thing there we can get off on.
I like it. It makes me want to wake the F up. I'll tell you that. So we did this last week. We're going to do it again.
Yes.
Once again, yep, this is a tremendous brand of smelling salts. This is becoming a big thing. It's been a big thing in the athletic world for a while. John out there who owns this company, 4-time bodybuilding fighter, does amazing things. I was like, man, I'm buying this product. We're going to give it a go.
Oh.
Now, you've never done smelling salts?
I've not.
Okay.
Have you seen other people do it?
Yeah,
like you've seen
NFL,
athletes.
yeah.
NFL.
When they get hit, they need a wake up on the sidelines.
And like people that faint, you know, this will bring them back.
Oh my
kind
God.
of thing. And so
is it like pure ammonia?
it is ammonia gas is ultimately what it's doing. But you know, you just I can already smell it.
Yeah, you just
got to get that hit, and it just kind of wakes you up a little bit. You're welcome.
Your reaction is priceless.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm terrified.
He's going in.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you
Yeah.
describe that to people that haven't done it? Because it's hard to put that into words what it feels like.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. I have no idea. Something died is what that smells like.
Something died.
I've heard a lot of folks say it reminds me of jumping into a chlorine pool and getting that rush up the
Oh,
nose
yeah.
of chlorine. I don't know if I get that as much. It more reminds me of just something that I shouldn't be smelling.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day.
Maybe like roadkill, I would say.
Like, you get roadkill?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The death from this?
That's interesting. But what it does is it
No,
jolts
but
your...
like if you think about, I don't know how much you've been around like dead animals, but after
They reek.
there's like gases that they give off, it kind of gives me a reminder
Yeah.
of that. That is some potent stuff.
It'll burn your eyes for sure. And there's even more potent stuff on the market than this, you know, from what I've heard. But this does the job.
Yep.
So if you're in the market for smelling salts, check out Yep. Give them a go for sure.
That's a great way to wake up in the morning. Holy crap.
It gets you going because it jolts your,
does give you a
your
little bit.
respiratory system, and it's supposed to increase alertness and focus.
Oh, or cold bath, cold plunges. You can
See,
do
I don't
that
have
too.
the balls to do that.
I don't either.
You know, I'm worried about just like shrinkage and a lot of things that go with getting into cold water.
I mean, it is tough. So like the cold water, it's like what, 60 seconds in it? Like how long do they sit in
I
the
think a
cold
minute
bath?
I
minimum.
think some people can. I
3
mean,
minutes.
some people can do longer,
Yeah.
but they build up. You want to at least do a minute,
1
which is
minute?
crazy because I
Yeah.
want to do it because I hear all the health benefits about it. But then it's like I'm just such a pansy. I don't want to
Yeah.
wake up first thing in the
I don't
morning.
like
and
cold.
Be freezing.
Yeah.
I have a jacket on right now. It's not even cold.
But then after you do it, you're gonna be like feeling like
That's what
fucking-
everyone says. Like your clarity, your mental
Yeah.
alertness.
Well, and also I've heard that like if you do like the cold thing, cold plunge, then it will release dopamine in your brain for like 8 hours afterwards. Like
Oh yeah,
something
like it's a slow release.
yeah,
Yeah,
like something ridiculous. Like for the rest of the day, like you're just feeling good. And when you do something that you don't want to do, the sense of accomplishment after you do it, like that's almost second to none.
Yeah.
I've heard
like
the
when
best,
you don't want to do it.
I've
and
heard
then
the
you do
best
it.
way to build up to it is like you take a warm shower and then your last like 30 seconds
Go
or a
cold.
minute, you just flip it to cold just to kind of like build up that tolerance. So at least you're comfortable on the front end and then you're
I mean,
miserable on the
is there
back
like
end.
a health risk where you can get like a heart attack from like going
I'm
in,
sure
or
there's
like a
gotta be risk.
hypothermic risk or something? Like, I don't know.
I would say maybe, but you're probably doing a cold plunge in a controlled environment,
Yeah.
so you're only frozen for a short period of time. But I'm sure if you already have pre-existing conditions,
Yeah.
it's probably not smart.
Yeah.
I prefer sauna more than anything.
Yeah.
Where I like
hot
to
sweat.
work. Yeah, I love working out. Like Hot Works, I'm a member of, and I
Oh,
enjoy
really?
doing those like ellipticals or cycling in an
Oh,
infrared
really hot.
sauna. Yeah.
That gets your heart rate up really high, doesn't it? Whereas
Yeah.
like the cold kind of brings it
But
down.
it's so nice because it's like Because the traditional way was like I always did cardio and then went into a sauna. This like knocks two birds out with one stone. So it's nice I can just do everything, and for like an hour I'll just go in and cycle at 130 degrees.
130.
How many calories do you burn in that hour?
They say like anywhere from 500 to 700. So it's pretty solid
that's
workout. Plus, there's a lot of health benefits too of like what sauna. I think if you're a male and you do sauna like 4 to 5 times a week, it reduces your risk for like cardiac episodes by like 70%. Like
Really?
It's some insane number.
You think that's because it elevates the heart rate? I mean, I guess all cardio does, but the heat kind of naturally elevates the heart
I'm
rate.
not sure.
I mean,
Maybe it's like the detoxing of your system.
Yeah,
because
sweating
out.
everything
Yeah, you're
out.
actually like sweating and detoxing, getting stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do semi-cold plunge. I don't know when you go swim, but I'm sure that water's not warm.
The pool is, and it's a huge benefit to where I live, is it's a year-round pool, but it is outdoors.
Got it.
It's heated.
Oh.
But it's not, it's like, 55 degrees. I don't know what the temperature is. When you first jump in, it's chilly. Like, you feel cold. You start moving around, but then after you swim for a little bit, then you get acclimated to it. Like, it takes like 2 to 3 minutes, and then you're good.
Do you swim in the morning or in the evening?
I swim really when I can. It opens between 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So anytime
late
between them.
For a startup, you would think it would be open like early in the morning.
The gym is open 24/7.
Got it.
So you can go into the gym anytime. I was thinking, detoxing and sweating it out. So here's an odd fact: when you hold in your flatulence, if you hold in your farts, it's no good for you. And guess where the fart leaves from if you hold it in and you don't allow it to release?
Do you burp it out?
So there's different couple ways that it comes out. So it can come out through your breath, it could come out through burps, and your sweat.
Sweat?
It has to leave your body.
Well, it's just like
It has to leave.
for folks that can't shit. Those toxins go somewhere, right? Like your body reabsorbs it. It's no good.
It's no good.
It's no good.
Yeah,
I didn't know that part though.
You need to let your body do its thing.
I'm usually pretty
just need to
regular
let it go.
with farting. I've always been, like, even on I've been on first dates where I'll fart.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, I had to fart. Like, I'm not obnoxious about it, like lifting a leg and bringing attention, but
Yeah.
a little toot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look. I feel like that's okay, and if it's a natural body function, then can we just break the stigma of being embarrassed about this stuff? But like, I agree. There's like a respectful way to do it. Do it. Like, you can obnoxiously burp, or you could have like like that burp.
Yeah,
like
you've
that's
heard how I
respectful. Yeah.
That's obnoxious.
Yeah, that's a bog creature burp.
But I wouldn't do that in this professional setting.
No, not in this setting. Yeah,
I can sound like
you
a
have to,
bog creature for sure.
You have to respect the bodily functions.
What's your thoughts on this, Justin?
I mean, I'm not. I just don't do that stuff like ever.
You don't fart?
You don't
Almost
have
never.
to.
Really?
Like, yeah.
What is your diet
Man,
like?
are you eating
your
cruciferous
diet-
vegetables?
I
Yeah.
wish, man. I actually just started carnivore diet
Okay.
2 days ago, just because I have not felt good about my body since like last year ruined me. I had 2 big vacations at all-inclusive resorts. I was in Jamaica for 10 days at a Sandals that was
Still epic though.
absurd.
I love Jamaica. I've been. It's awesome. I loved it.
The amount of food I ate in Jamaica I was probably eating like 8,000 calories a day.
Oh, wow.
Because they
Just
had like
indulging.
Well, they had like 8 restaurants, and then they
would've
had
done
like
the same thing.
and then they have like personal pizzas you could get delivered to your room at any time in the day. So I was just like, I would get like I'd go breakfast, and I would go eat snacks, and I'd get lunch, then I have pizza delivered right before I'd go out to dinner. So I was just like stuffing my face along with drinking an absurd amount of calories, and then. I went down to Guatemala for 5 days for a sail fishing trip, and then that was at an all-inclusive resort, so it was just like nothing but drinking and eating then. And then, of course, that led into the holiday season. So you have like a Halloween, eating crap tons of candy that's left over from trick-or-treating, and then you go Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then it's just like, damn, I can't get a break from eating calories. So it's like, all right, I need to make a change. My boss has been on carnivore since the beginning of the year, and he's down like 30 pounds from it. And he said he feels really good. And I saw a bunch of stuff on social media about it. So I'm like, I'll give it a try.
Do you intermittent fast?
So last year I actually did a 21-day pure fast.
Really?
Like straight.
21 day.
That
21
sounds
day.
brutal though.
After day 3 it was fine.
Okay.
So were
Like
you
the-
drinking like broth or
No, it was just lemon water.
just
Like,
lemon water?
So I was like, I didn't feel good. I was back up at like a weight I didn't like. So anytime I break 210, I'm like, all right, I got to do something because this is getting out of control. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do, and this was before going to Sandals. So I was like, man, if I'm at 210 and I go to an all-inclusive resort, that is going to be like bad news. So I, like 3.5 weeks before I went on vacation, I was like, all right, I'm just going to cold turkey try a 21-day fast because I saw some stuff at social media, and I went from 213 down to 180 in 21 days.
Oh man.
And it was
that's a huge swing.
I felt so good.
Yeah.
Like after that 21-day fast, I felt like $1,000,000.
What was the first thing you ate?
Broth. Because they said you got to
reintroduce
like,
stomach.
you can't.
Yeah.
But then it was like 2 days later, I was stuffing my face. And I felt like the first day and a half in Jamaica, I felt like absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Like I just was like, I introduced food way too fast and like toxic food too. And so it was that and just 4th of July. It was so much eating. And so I didn't keep it off like I should have. But yeah, I like fasting. I like fasting a lot. I think people overestimate how much their body needs
I would
to,
agree with
to
that.
eat.
People think they need to be eating all the time, and they get addicted to that.
Yeah.
Who's kidding who? People are addicted to food. I mean, we like the taste. We like flavor. I love flavor, treats, whatever. But so during those, did you work out during that 21 days?
I did too. Like I was like, if I'm gonna make myself suffer, like I might as well just like really
Full
go
suffer.
at it. Yeah. So I would be like, I wouldn't be eating. I would go to Hot Works and work out for like an hour and a half. So I'd add sweating on top of that, and then I would just come home, and it was like, you know, the first 3 days you'd have like hunger pains, like true, like, this sucks.
Just not feeling good.
And then it almost became just like almost just like a nagging in the back of your head, where it's like, okay, I recognize I'm hungry, but it's not causing me any issues. It's just kind of irritating. And then that was just like a baseline. So after like day 3, it's like you said, right? You get addicted to seeing progress. So after day 3, you drop like 10 pounds in those first 3 days.
That's crazy,
like,
though. That's a lot of weight in 3 days.
Yeah, and probably most of it was
fighter's
water
cut.
weight on that first or the first drop. But then it's like, then you get to like day 7, between like day 7
when
and
you're
11.
clearing like your colon out too, like completely at that point.
But then it's like you see the progress because it's like every day it's like, oh shit, I dropped 2 pounds today and I haven't eaten anything. And I know that's not water weight because the water weight's out of my system. And then you see like in the mirror, it's like, holy crap, this is, first you see it in the face and then you see it in the stomach and everywhere else. But it was cool because I didn't want to just do it for the weight loss. Like I didn't want to just do it because I knew I was going to be a fat POS in Jamaica. I was like, I just want to challenge myself mentally that I can do something like this if I set my mind to. So it's like, man, if I'm strong enough to not eat a single meal or any sort of food for 3 weeks straight, like there's very little that can be thrown at me that I can't overcome.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? His name's Dave Goggins?
Goggins.
Oh, yeah, David Goggins.
Goggins is a fucking
Solid.
beast.
Yeah, dude, but I thought of that mentality. That dude's
Like,
like,
who's gonna-
stop being a pussy and just do it.
Yeah,
and I
who's
was like,
gonna carry
that's
the boats and shit.
yeah. And so it was cool. It's like I can say I fasted for 3 weeks and it was
That's
a
amazing.
challenge.
I've never done that. I've never done that.
I just saw Dana White, from the UFC. He just posted he did an 86-hour fast or something.
Yeah.
And he showed like a before and after picture. Like this fasting thing definitely has something to it.
Yeah.
For sure. But of course he prefaced it with, if you have medical conditions or something, take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Because 3 weeks is a long time.
Yeah.
And they say you can live up to 3 weeks without food, right?
Yeah.
Water, I think you can only go X amount, but
I think you can go further. What was it was a former Broncos player that there was an article last year where he did 40 days of fasting, no food, and he lost 100 pounds.
damn.
What?
40 days.
I mean, you're forcing your body to metabolize the fat and resources that
Correct.
it
That's
has.
crazy.
Yeah,
Right?
and I'm sure you're going to atrophy some, so you're going to lose, of course, muscle just from a nature
It's gonna
of
eat
it.
that.
But I think it's a great, like, at least a kickstart,
Like
right?
reset your body.
Yeah, I mean, even if you do let's say you do fasting and you lost 30 pounds, even if you rebound 5 to 10 pounds, you're still 20 pounds further down.
Than you were.
Yeah.
See, I haven't done true fasting where you actually like don't eat. You only have water for like 24 hours or whatever that is. So I'll just do intermittent fasting like 5 days a week where it's 12 to 16 hours,
No
5
food,
days,
yeah.
no food. And then when you do eat, you do portion control, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't just over the fuck eat for 8 hours. So what I realized, which really radiated with me, is like what you said, how people they overestimate what they need to actually sustain the energy in their body. And I completely agree with that, because when I'm doing that and I'm sticking to that regiment, like I'm working out, I'm waking up, I'm doing the pod, I'm doing my normal job, I'm going out on dates, I'm like doing all this shit on barely anything. And it's like this scarcity like mentality that I started to develop. Like it's like, you know, on the minimal, how much can I do on the minimal right now? And like you start getting into it and you realize like the body is actually super resilient, and it's built to do because we're nomadic at heart, and we're omnivoric too. So like we should be eating meats and vegetables. Like that's how our teeth are made, and we're meant to be walking and moving and nomadic. Like that's what our bodies were designed for, and eating a little bit. And when you dive into doing that, like there's actually all these health benefits that kick off, and actually stuff that I was listening to, and this is all stuff that I listen to, like opinion based. We're not a health provider here, but like they talked about like how eating less can help prevent the hormones and stuff that get that create cancer.
And like free radicals and stuff. I've seen
like how it helps with all that stuff. So
I've seen a lot of supposed studies. Again, I don't know how much of this is back science. I don't know which websites or resources to trust, but it's like, fasting has shown it can prevent cancer, it can prevent certain heart diseases. Plus, it's just like it's giving your body a break to detox too, which I think is probably the biggest like benefit of it. It's just naturally getting everything that's built up in your system.
So the number was 14 to 16 hours is when you hit like that detox, and like you could have water, you can have coffee. That's about it. Like that's
or
like
tea.
Like,
I would probably see like
some
green tea.
Okay,
like,
green tea
would be my
good.
guess.
Yeah, green or black tea. No half and half though. You can't be putting half and half.
No, it just has to probably be black coffee.
Yeah, straight.
Would be my guess.
Straight.
Yeah, not adding any dairy or anything like that. No, that makes sense for sure. And everyone's body is probably going to react differently to it, because
it's just like working out too, right? Like some workouts work well for some people, and then
and not good for others.
Well, then
don't.
Kevin, you almost do intermittent fasting already. Like a lot of times you'll eat dinner and you won't eat until lunch the next day.
Yeah, I mean you got to consider beer into that, because that's a lot of carbs and calories. So typically I'll finish my last beer at 10, 11 p.m. at night, and then I won't eat or drink any other than water until maybe 2, 3 the next day afternoon.
Yeah, so it's a
little bit intermittent fasting.
That's like a 14-hour fast or something.
I usually only eat one meal a day.
Really?
Like even just my norm. I just eat dinner.
Okay.
Like I feel like if I eat breakfast, it'll be two things. I'll feel heavy the rest of the day, or it'll start just want me to like once I start, like all I want to do is eat. So I'd much rather just wait till the end of the day, have a meal, and then not worry about it.
I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, we were conditioned to do 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Heavy calories,
which
pancakes
I think
in
is
the morning.
like capitalism.
Yes,
we don't have to get into that, but I
Fair.
think it was like
there's
I think that was intentional by the American business model that 100%. You should eat 3 meals a day.
The food pyramid's changed how many times?
What is that?
We used to learn about the food pyramid back in the growing up
my
in grade school.
Right now, don't worry.
I have a lot of those.
We won't even get into the medical system. We won't even touch that.
No, I don't want to have to file another appeal.
But food has to do with that too.
Food, pharma, you name it.
The food we
all that
eat
stuff.
puts us in the hospitals, man. Like, what is this?
I have a strong part of me wants to move to Europe because I do not trust the American food system.
How can you? How can you?
Well, what's crazy is like if you research like how much of America's food is banned in Europe, like food that people eat here every day, but what's funny is like I went to Japan like right before I was on here last time. I was there 2 full weeks. I try to stay away from carbs because carbs here in the United States, like I even look at a bagel, I'll put weight on, like for real. And then I went to Japan. I literally ate pasta every single day. I had ramen, udon noodles, like sushi, like almost.
Was it so good? Was it so good,
dude? Like
I bet.
there was one chicken broth ramen I had when I got completely schmammered in Tokyo.
Okay.
It was amazing. It was a bar crawl trip, but it was like I came back. I didn't put on any weight from Japan, and that was 2 weeks of just gorge eating everything, like
and drinking,
desserts, drinking, all of that. And then it's like, man, if I did that same kind of diet here in the United States, I know for sure
be in rough shape.
and people talk about it on social media all the time about they go abroad they eat bread, pasta, whatever they want. They actually lose weight, and then they come back to the United States as soon as they eat something that was here in the United States, like whether it's processed food or something from the grocery store, they rebound. And it just makes you think, it's like, okay, what do we have over here in our food that just makes you feel so shitty?
I mean, when you look at the ingredients of like Quaker Oats, for example, oatmeal. Yeah. The European version versus the American version, I mean, the ingredients are significantly small in Europe, and then over here you have all these things that you can barely pronounce. It's kind of
That's
alarming.
so scary.
Yeah.
And it's like you wonder why the biggest thing killing men under 50 is colon cancer. Like it's
Well, did you hear about this article too? Like, okay, so a Florida college tested toilet paper, and they found that like a large percentage of toilet paper has forever chemicals in it and is a contributor to colon cancer. And they didn't drop the names of the brands. Like I tried to find,
probably guess them.
So I read the article and then I tried to find the brands.
Sued out of their mind.
Yeah, couldn't find the brands, but I'm suspect that it's like that super cheap one ply type, like that you get at the office building. Like if you're wiping your butt at the office building all the time, dude, like I don't know. I feel like you're at high risk, or is
I'd almost go the other way.
Or you think it's the extra cushiony?
What are you paying for?
You think it's the cushiony, like extra strong
quadruple ply?
Yeah, that one with the bear,
Yeah,
not to name drop here.
Yeah, so you're
blue
paying.
and red
You think
bears.
you're paying extra?
Think about
to get it.
Think about it, because if they're paying money to do that, right, to put these chemicals in there, that's going to come back to the consumer.
I mean, dude, I can't even wipe my ass without fucking feeling like I'm getting got over here.
It's like you go on social media. It's like new thing kills you every day. Don't drink from this water bottle. Don't eat fruit. Don't eat vegetables. Like
this will kill you in California.
Yeah, no, like you're not safe from anything.
Well, and then that's the mental poison. And Kevin and I were talking about this before, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on it. Is perception being reality?
Yeah.
And if I'm constantly telling myself, oh, that's going to get me sick, or I'm sick all the time, then you probably are sick all the time.
Yeah.
Opposed to if you're like saying like, I'm strong, I'm healthy, my body is constantly like, I'm always healthy, then you barely ever get sick. Do you believe in like the power of thought like that?
I think that like manifestation is like very powerful, because I think there's plenty of things in this universe you can't explain, like what happens. But when it comes to, I think your mind plays in a lot of what attributes to your body, because if you have a negative thought, it's probably going to put your body in an unhealthy state, and it's going to break down internally. I think there's a lot of truth to that. But I mean, it's bizarre, right? Because you see people that are fitness freaks that die when they're 60, and we probably all have that one family member that chain smoked, chewed tobacco, and drank every day that lived to like 95. So I think genetics has a lot to do with it. But I mean, I'm curious to see a lot of those people that lived to 95 were that generation that grew up in the 20s, 30s, and 40s before all this chemical bullshit was put into food.
Well, on social media too, because I feel like that's like a can be a mental poison.
Oh,
like
it's not can be, it is.
Yeah,
100%. I think was it? I know Instagram is now having filters of like they're having campaigns on how to limit time that your children spend on social media and how to like keep them from going down negative thought processes. But I'm sure the suicide rate in the United States has gone up exponentially ever since the internet's come out.
100%. Has to. We were talking about on Happy Friday last week. There's a bill in Kentucky, which I think passed in Indiana, about banning cell phones in classrooms for middle school, high school, I guess even grade school. And it's one of those things that I can see both sides of the argument. But because we grew up in a time where we didn't have that, we didn't have the smartphone and all that shit in the classroom, it's easy for us to say, well, absolutely ban cell phones, get rid of the distraction. I kind of agree with that, but I can understand the other side of the argument.
Well, I mean, if you need a cell phone, just give them a brick phone or a flip phone.
Fair.
Like if the whole conversation is we want to make sure they have some way to reach someone in case of an emergency, then okay, give them something that like doesn't have internet. Like, because I remember in 7th grade, because both my parents worked multiple jobs, I usually had to bike 7 or 8 miles to go home from where I lived in northern Colorado at the time. It was like far away from junior high. They said, here's a brick phone. It was a Nokia like 3011. And it was like I had Snake. That would distract me in class when I was a kid playing that.
Yeah.
But
what a great game.
But I mean, if I needed to call my parents, I had a cell phone to call. So I mean, if it's like I get now where it's just basically a computer in the
Yeah.
palm of your hands, I can see how they would want to cancel that. But yeah, I would be all for that. And if they need a cell phone, just give them an old school flip phone that doesn't have internet
Basic communication.
access. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, it's interesting because, I mean, you think in the last 20 years, not even 20 years, 15 years, what, Facebook was 08, Instagram started in like,
God, that makes me feel so.
I know.
It's still so fresh. Like
It's still pretty
social
new.
media is so new that like we don't truly know the long term effects of this. And I'll tell you just from my own personal experience that I get the dopamine hits just like everybody else does. Like, oh, they're from the hood if they do this. Like those kind of dumb videos. Like they're so stupid. They don't mean anything, but they still hook me in. And then I'm very aware of how I feel and like my thought process. Like I've worked on that for years, so I'm hyper aware of how I'm feeling. And I've noticed that after I scroll and look at meaningless, brainless shit for like an hour, like I feel less motivated, distracted, slightly in less of a good mood. Like my happiness level drops. And then I'm like, dude, I need to put this down. And then my muscle memory keeps going for it.
Yeah.
It keeps going for it. And even like I'm practicing this constantly. Like I'm still getting baited by this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just need to go on a walk. And I'll tell myself before I pick up my phone sometimes, I'm like, there is nothing for me here. I'm like, there's nothing for me here. And I put it down like angrily sometimes because it like keeps trying to get me.
I think the best way to, at least like as a way to get yourself off it, or at least feel better, is just like all your FYP is driven on what you engage with.
The
so your
FYP?
for you page. So like if you're on Reels or you're on TikTok, when you're swiping up, that's considered your for you profile, which means
The algorithm based
on you've liked this or you've watched this for a certain amount of time or you've shared this, they're going to keep going. So if say you watch like a stupid video that doesn't sit well with you, but you're sucked into it.
Yeah.
They're going to keep showing you that because you engage with
That
it. It
makes sense.
sees it. Now, if you start looking at like puppy videos or traveling or fitness videos, then all that's going to change. So if you're like running into the trap of I'm falling down this rabbit hole of these really videos and that's all I see, then just start searching like fitness videos or
makes sense.
vacation videos or like or animals, goofy shit. Like with them, share with your friends,
Mix up
watch
the
them,
algorithm.
and then your algorithm will switch in like a day, and all you're gonna get is the fun stuff. So if you're like looking at negatives, all it's gonna continue to do is show you like the dark side of the internet.
Yeah. I mean, I think
true.
we've all experienced it. So, like, for me, it's cooking videos. I always get sucked into guys smoking meats,
See, that's healthy.
cooking
That's
stuff.
fine.
I mean, it is. That's like I spend a lot of time on the screen looking at guys cook things. I'm
Yeah.
like, this
Yeah.
looks awesome.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And so usually when I'm scrolling, it's all different
Yeah.
people I've never seen before doing cooking, new things, eating this.
Then you're
eating
trying
that.
to cook. See, that's a healthy usage of social media,
guess.
in my opinion.
I guess.
Because, like, Kev will get all excited, and then he'll, like, go to make that in real life. Like,
Yeah.
how is that negative? So I do agree with what you're saying. Like, we have control of what goes on this page. And so we can actually make an effort, search things. So that's what I need to do. I need to go in there and search, like, motivational quotes. I
Puppy
need to go
videos, just throw that in.
Or, like,
Puppy
some
videos
cats.
are good.
Yeah, or cats, yeah.
Some animals
Funny
being
stuff.
silly.
Yeah. Silly animal videos. That brings
That's good
everyone
advice.
joy.
That's good
Yeah,
advice.
right? I mean, it's
good.
you can't not laugh when
It's
you
good
see
to
a
have that
puppy or a
algorithm.
kitten.
And who's kidding who? The 90s nostalgia? And I'm not just saying this because
Yeah.
you're on the show. I always love looking at that
Yeah.
shit. I'm like, man, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'll send my brother, I'm like, remember these candies or, like, Dunkaroos or
Yeah.
something that, like, meant something to us.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's great about it. I think nostalgia's good.
It is.
And I think that's the reason that the page has become, or my medias have become so prolific now, because, you know, last time I was on with you guys, I was around like 110,000 followers, and I mentioned it grew from like 50,000 in October to like 100,000 in December. So it was like huge growth, and then it just like skyrocketed.
Parabolic.
Just like, it was
And again,
crazy.
congrats, man. We were watching, and like you were actually celebrating with us. We were celebrating with you, man.
Yeah.
So that was cool because we did stay in touch like the whole time. Like
Yeah.
even though it's been 13 months since you've been on, like we've
Still
always
chit-chat.
we've always kept in a loop and supported each other. And oh man, it's awesome to see that success.
And I think like relating to where it's at, as you said, mentality, I think it's just as millennials get older, mortality seems closer and closer and closer, right? The older you get, the more your mind goes of, man, death's coming up, or I got X amount of it's more of a countdown than it is something looking forward as a kid. Like as a kid, you're looking to become an adult.
Yeah.
I think when you get an adult, you either want to go back to being a kid or you're like scared of, oh my God, I'm getting so close to death, or I'm getting closer to death. And so I think for a lot of millennials now, they saw it with their parents. They're like, man, the world's not a very fun place right now anyway. So they revert to things that bring them joy and happiness. And for them, it's, their childhood, not for everybody. Some people have some really rough childhoods, but for a majority of people, they're like, I want to go back to feeling good. And so it's kind of, I would say, a drug for some people, right? Like, I think everybody has their vices, whether it was, like your substance abuse. I think everybody has their poison, right? Pick your poison. I think for some people, they get addicted to nostalgia because it brings them joy. And I think there is a fine line of like crossing over to where it's too much. And for me personally, you've
crossed that line because you buy all the nostalgic shit. You have all the certain. No, I'm
That's
teasing.
right.
I'm teasing.
No, I think you have to be mindful of it to not get sucked in. And people are like, I get mean messages where it's like, dude, you're just going down a rabbit hole. Like you're being super unhealthy. You're just regressing. You're looking too far into the past. I'm like, you have no idea what I do in my free time. Like I travel the world. Like I'm going to be fine living in the moment.
Yeah.
But I think for some people that don't get those opportunities, that could be a very serious concern where it's like they're looking back so much they forget to live in the present and the now. And so I think I always need to be careful of, I should probably preach that message more on my social media, is like, hey, don't forget to enjoy what you have going on. But I think people just need an escape for whatever amount of time, whether it's, an hour scrolling through stupid media or just a couple of videos every here and now and then. But
it's healthy. It's healthy to zone out. Like as much as I preach, like having the new lifestyle, sticking to it, being diligent, being fucking committed to something. Like you also need to be committed to checking the fuck out and having a day off and eating whatever the fuck you want to. Yeah, like that is all productive to me. That's all productive.
Anything in moderation is kind of what it is, and regardless of what it is, whatever addiction, living in the past, current, you name it. But there's like reminiscing. I think is a healthy thing. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I kind of feel that way a little bit.
Appreciate life.
Yeah. But like with the nostalgia stuff, I feel like it's reminiscent because it'll remind me, oh, I remember playing that game with so-and-so who lived over here.
Yeah.
And things like it's unlocking things that maybe I wouldn't have thought about.
I think it's good mental stimulation to a point, right? Because like you said, everything is a triggering mechanism to something else. Like you see a toy, it's not that toy specifically that brings you joy. You think of what is that toy attributed to? Yeah, it's like
attached to the
toy.
toy.
I got this for my 7th birthday from my dad, and my grandparents and my friends were there, so it attributes some sort of triggered memory with it that brings you happiness. And I think it's good because I think people really struggle with a lot of mental illness now. There's a lot of Alzheimer's and dementia's coming up, and I think maybe it's a good thing for your brain just as like muscle memory to try and like think of all the events that occurred. But yeah, everything in moderation. Even as like a creator, like I can't spend all day creating content. Like I have to live life outside of that. Just like a job, you don't want to work 10 hours a day. So it's finding a balance between working, creating content, living my own life. There's a lot that's like juggling into that, but yeah, I think the push you're seeing now is millennials are getting older. More mortality is in their face all the time with war going on. All the things that they see negativity in the news as they get older. And I think that's why you see such a big push now from brands bringing nostalgia back. I know, was it Old Navy has a big millennial push, like Y2K push. Target's got a Y2K push. Like there's so many companies that are pushing 90s and early 2000s stuff, and it just makes sense because I think we're just crossing that threshold. I wouldn't say midlife crisis, but I think it's like really wanting to go back in time.
It's a good marketing opportunity too, because people love that stuff. Like Crystal Pepsi did it. They brought it back for a little bit, limited time. That brought people back. Taste the 90s. Yeah, they ran that whole campaign.
Dunkaroos just came back.
Yeah.
Surge had a little. Surge was like, it was 2015 to 2018, so they had to come back. I'm trying to think of like other snacks right now.
Well, and even just like the $15 T-shirts at Target, like they have all the like the old school stuff on there.
PlayStation logo and shit.
So I do have, and that's a perfect segue into my would you rather. I have a nostalgia based would you rather for you. I thought about this on the car ride over.
Let's go.
So you have to pick between one of these two consoles.
Got it.
Nintendo 64,
PS1.
or the original
Yeah,
PlayStation.
it's not even close.
You son of a,
It's not
you
even
son of a-
close. So it's funny. I thought about doing a post on this,
Okay.
and I still might, but it's like I feel like it was almost like you were divided into houses like Harry Potter
Yeah.
growing up. You were either team PlayStation or you were team
Okay, so
Nintendo.
why is it the PlayStation over the?
Because my favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay.
And so
All right.
I have such great memories attributed to that game and spending like that game takes like 70 to 80 hours
Well,
to
and wasn't it
complete.
like a 4-disc or
three disc
yeah,
game?
back in the day? Like they had to
Final Fantasy VII.
release multiple discs and
Discs,
shit.
yeah. So you'd have to
Yeah.
you'd have like multiple memory cards and 3 discs. But that is like
Yeah.
my favorite game. I actually am excited for Rebirth coming out on the 28th.
looks good.
It looks so
It
good.
looks really good.
It's so I keep DMing Square Enix to be like, yo, can we work together? And
Let me beta test.
they never respond.
Yeah.
But no, I got a PS1 in like 97, like Christmas of 90. It would have been 97 or yeah, it was 97. And then my dad bought that game, so it was like that was my memory. Now,
Introduction.
we had Super Nintendo too. We actually had both Sega and Super Nintendo
Yeah.
as the consoles before.
So I
it.
guess that would be going back even further than Sega or Nintendo.
Correct. Yeah, we had both.
Right.
But I would prefer Super Nintendo over Sega just
Yeah.
because you weren't able to save on Sega, so that was like the most irritating thing in the world. If you didn't beat the game all the way through, you couldn't go
You had to
back.
start over.
You would
Yeah.
just leave it on, like you turn
Yeah.
the TV off and leave the console on to come back. But yeah, I mean, I have such great memories with PlayStation because I had Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Final Fantasy, Tekken, some of those original
see,
games.
Final Fantasy is like I've watched a lot of people play 7. I played it, never beat it.
Yeah.
So I played into it, and I could see if that like popped your gaming cherry.
No, it was
how that would-
great.
that
Well,
would
but
really
you had
be
Game
like,
Boy
yeah.
too. Like I had Pokemon
Yeah.
as far as a gamer, so I had that aspect of
Oh, yeah,
Nintendo.
yeah.
But for like an RPG game, to me, there's no better game than Final Fantasy VII, which is why I geeked out when they finally had the remake because they came out with that first trailer in summer of 2015. And then they finally released the game 5 years later in like April of 2020, right? Like the beginning of COVID. So I did nothing but play that game and beat it in like 3 days.
Yeah.
But now it's been another almost 4 years that they're releasing part 2. And I don't know if this is like going to have the rest of the game or just another portion of the game. We're going to have to wait another 4 years. But I think like that kind of crossed down to 2 roads. Because if you were PlayStation, then you just kept going. Like you went
Yeah.
PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5.
Yeah.
If you went Nintendo, I think you transitioned to Xbox. So if you got an
Yeah.
N64, then you went to Xbox and then 360 and Xbox One because there wasn't. I mean, you guess you could have gone GameCube, but then there wasn't really
Yeah, the
much. Of a,
GameCube,
there wasn't.
it was
There was
weird.
Wii.
Yeah.
But there wasn't. I mean, you felt left out if you went GameCube because it was a battle between like PS2, which is still the greatest selling console or the most selling console of all times as far as units, or you had like Xbox. So it was either you played RPGs like Tom Clancy or Final Fantasy X or anything on PS2, or it was like, oh, we have Halo on Xbox. And if you had GameCube, I think people would laugh at you because it's like, oh, I just have Smash Brothers. That's
Yeah.
really all it was. But
It's a Smash box.
yeah,
Basically
Smash.
what
It was
yeah.
a Smash box.
That's an interesting breakdown. I don't disagree with it because it does
Yeah.
make a lot of sense. Because I was an N64 guy before I didn't have a PS, so my
Yeah.
my brother had all the consoles, so I'd
Yeah.
really be playing his.
Yeah.
'Cause he was 6.5 years older than me. Is.
Yeah.
So we would play Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Kart, all
Yeah.
those games, and like Zelda: Ocarina of Time for me was like the first kind of RPG,
Yeah.
if you will. I mean, I played Link from the Past on SNES.
Yeah.
big
Link's
Zelda
Awakening,
guy.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, I think Ocarina of Time is considered the greatest Zelda game
It was so
of
good.
all time. Well, for a lot of people, but I think mainly just because millennials have such
Sure.
attachment to that.
Yeah,
But
the Fire Temple,
did
the
they
Water
ever
Temple.
play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom?
See, but that's the
dude,
thing.
the Tears of the Kingdom, like, wow, what a great game.
I played Breath of the
Did
Wild.
you play? Oh my!
I haven't
gosh.
played Tears of the Kingdom. I
It's-
played Breath of the
It's so
Wild.
good. It's so good. Did
But-
you play Breath of the Wild? Oh my god!
There's
Breath of the
very
Wild's
few
good.
Zelda games I have. I've played.
Yeah.
I have the one for SNES, Link's Awakening.
Yeah, Link's
Okay.
Awakening, which was a fantastic
Yeah,
game.
which is great.
It was a good
but,
game.
but for a Super Nintendo, the amount of hours you'd have to log on that game is monstrous too. And actually, they had Final Fantasy, was it 1, 2, and 3 for Super Nintendo also, but it was I think that's just how it divided out as you got older, because it was either, I think once you got to like high school, it was either Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah.
I very rarely had people that were just
Nintendo
people.
Yeah, see, there was like that
a good
beef.
point.
There was like that beef, and I was part of it. I was Team Xbox back in the day.
I went Team PlayStation.
You know,
I was PlayStation
Yeah,
too,
so-
but all of my
yeah.
closest guy friends all went Xbox.
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
the only PlayStation guy.
That's kind of how I still am.
yeah.
yeah,
You
they
guys are all
still
Xbox guys.
Yeah, they all have Xbox phones.
Yeah,
They're like,
see,
and they're
I'm
still
still-
playing Halo Master Chief Edition and stuff, and Call of Duty, and I'm like, it's all right. I'll just
But
play
here's the
my
thing: as long as you're gaming, like love for all games. See,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think any gamers really hate on other gamers. It's more just like it's just fun. Like
It's like that Ford Chevy rivalry.
because Xbox is better.
No, it's not. It's not.
That is the most absurd comment I've ever heard. But I actually just saw a news article that they might have a crossover for Microsoft games onto
Yeah.
PlayStation's platform. Like Gears of War might be
I like that.
available on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Halo
Because-
could come up on PlayStation.
I'd be
oh my
about it.
God.
Combat
but I think
Evolved,
I think they
game
would
changer.
lose their mind. I think like Microsoft or
Yeah.
Xbox fans would lose their mind if PlayStation got
Well,
access to Halo.
so Grand Theft Auto, right? So one of my favorite games of all time.
Like San Andreas.
San
yeah.
Andreas, Vice City,
Yeah.
GTA 3. That was a PlayStation exclusive, was
Yep.
it not? Or like maybe PlayStation and PC. And then Xbox got rights to it later.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had that right, because as we get ready
Yeah.
for GTA
Yeah,
6
in the
next year.
beginning.
It's in 25, which
Well-
I know people have been losing their minds.
Oh, yeah,
about
they're
that
losing-
But the
game,
thing
too.
is when they
They're
dropped
losing.
the trailer for GTA 5,
Yeah.
it was the same deal. They dropped it in 2011 and dropped in 2013. It was still a 2-year turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like,
I mean, games get pushed back all
and,
the time.
and they should if they're. I mean, look how good
Cyberpunk was
No,
a
but it's so
disaster.
good now. It is so good now.
I haven't seen it.
Cyberpunk is?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's so good, and honestly, I wanted to love it so bad. And I was playing on the Xbox One when it first came out, which
Yeah.
was absolute shit. And I still thought it was like it had the potential to be one of the best RPGs ever. And now it's fixed. It's worth buying and playing.
is
But
it still
it
full
was
price?
such a disaster.
It was
when
it's horrible disaster.
They had to give so many refunds because it
PlayStation
glitched.
pulled it off the store.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was shit.
It's terrible press for the company.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
this was CD Projekt Red who released Witcher 3, which
Yeah.
was one of the best games ever made,
Yeah.
according to people who played it.
I never played Cyberpunk. I watched you guys play when it first came out when it was shit,
Oh, it was garbage.
and it wasn't good.
It's so much better now.
What game did I played? What was it? The game I was late to the party for that I regret being late to the party for was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, I got that the night it dropped.
I didn't play that until like 2 years ago, and
So
I
good.
could
Did
not
you
put
cry?
it. I did,
Did you
not.
cry?
Oh, when what's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That broke me. I was
Yeah.
like, God dang it, they're gonna. And then you continue the storyline with what's his name?
Arthur
But,
Morgan?
Yeah. But I was just like, man. But it was such an.
No,
it
your
was such
start
a.
is Arthur.
And then it switches over
to the original guy from
Yeah, from Red Dead
One.
Redemption 1.
Yeah.
Right.
What's his name again in the game?
I
Is
don't
it
remember.
It's not Jamie.
He's got the.
It's not. Oh well.
We should know this, but
Yeah, we should. We should.
But I played that game. Was it 2 years ago, 3 years
Great
ago?
game.
But I was like 4 years or 3 years late
'Cause
to
it
the
came out, like,
party.
18.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, this game is aesthetically stunning,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
and the open world concept where you could just mess with anyone or like you get attacked by animals or like catch any horses that you want. Like I spent an absurd amount of time playing. Like I got addicted to that game. Like I would play like 12 hours a day. I'm
It's
like,
so good.
I was like, wow, I need to actually go do something productive because I'm spending way too much time. But I think there's so many side quests that game takes forever
man.
Yeah.
to complete. And there's so many Easter eggs
Yep.
too in that game. What I see on social media all the time, like if you go to this cave, you can mess with this dude up here, or you can find this hidden animal. But that was a game that I really really enjoyed.
I think what it showed is what the capabilities are with Rockstar. And everything I've heard is like the engine that was used in Grand Theft Auto 4 was different than 5.
Oh,
Like the
Unreal
physics.
Engine 5 is going to change gaming.
It's 100%.
forever. Have you
Yeah.
seen some of those like
pretty
first-person shooter games that they're creating? And
I'm pretty sure that like The Mandalorian, that TV show.
Yeah.
Because they shoot that in a studio where it's like 3 live screens, like 3 big ass real screens.
Yeah.
And they shoot in here, and that way the reflections are real and everything. And I believe that the environments that they make are all made in Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, so literally the environments you see in the Mandalorian show
gonna be amazing.
are made in Unreal.
I've seen
5.
like social
I'm
media
pretty sure about
clips of Unreal Engine 5 where it's like you're walking into snow or you're walking through the woods, and it is very difficult to tell the difference. Like if you were just like casually watching, like glancing, you would think it's real. I mean, you could see some like disparity
Uncanny
on
things.
yeah, just it's like okay, it's fake, but it's like it is getting to a place where what I'm trying to think of what movie that was. It's getting to a place. Well, Ready Player One's probably not very far from where we're at now of just like putting in an Oculus and people trying to escape reality because it feels like more reality in a virtual world than it does in their own
I just
lives.
had someone tell me that not long ago, yeah.
And I'm curious. I've seen the new Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
I'm very curious of how good that actually looks because Oculus sucks. Like I had an Oculus 2 an Oculus 2 from Meta. I sold it because it's so grainy. Like it's
Wasn't
so
good.
pixely. Like the games are awful. Like they're addicting.
Really?
Like Lightsaber, super fun. But you don't buy it because it's realistic. But I'm curious if like the Apple Vision, you put it on, it's like, whoa, this actually looks
I
like
heard
a legit game.
I heard it looks good. I don't know for gaming,
$4
but I heard it looks good.
$4,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't drop that.
It's too much. It's too much for like any sort of home entertainment. I feel like as much as I want to have like a racing simulator,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money right there. Where you get the force feedback and the everything.
Have you
moves.
seen those, dude? I've seen some people
They get
on
crazy,
like
dude.
25 grand. Like they spend as much on a real car as they
Yep.
do like a legit racing setup.
Yeah.
Looks fun as hell. Like I just want to find someone who has one because it's
I
like,
know.
man, that'd be super fun to
Yeah.
just like chill in your basement and just pretend like you're in a Ferrari. But I can't, like $30,000 on a gaming system.
It's too much.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you just have stupid money to throw away. But did you see Gran Turismo, the movie?
I have not.
Oh man, you got to
Is it
watch
good?
it. It's so good. I
Is
don't
it
know.
really good?
Yeah,
It's a
Both
worth
thumbs
the
up,
watch.
Both thumbs.
Whether you're a gaming fan or not, or a race fan or not, it is a good watch.
Just
like-
the idea of like that idea of like you play video games to translate to something in reality. That is the
incredible.
dream.
that
Well-
movie. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, on top of that, to add to the NASCAR world, William Byron, driver of the number 24 Hendrick Motorsports, came from sim racing.
Really?
And so there's a special on Netflix called NASCAR Full Speed. Free plug there. I know I pushed on Mash the Gas. Really dives into that a little bit on how he got to NASCAR from sim racing. I mean, you think about that. For people that don't know much about racing, they just drive in circles. Okay, I've heard that conversation for 30 years. There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
But the fact remains that what we're seeing now is sim racing is creating for tremendous real-time drivers on the track.
That's crazy.
That movie was so good that it had me in my feels. I was crying like motivational tears watching Gran Turismo.
Epic movie.
And because of like all the stuff that I've talked about, like overcoming all these different battles and like seeing, because in this movie he's like on this solo journey. Like he has family to support him. He has like a girl that he's dating and stuff. But like really all the times where he's overcoming shit, he's solo. Like he's alone. And that just really spoke to me because when you go in, you fight your own battles, like, and you don't talk about it either,
Yeah.
and you just go after it and get it. Like there's something about that movie evoked that emotion so much for me.
It's good.
One of my friends, I'm like sitting next to him. He's like, "Dude, are you crying?" And because I had glasses on, because I see better with my glasses on at the movies, and I'm always like moving my glasses, like, and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm crying right now." Like proudly.
I was there with you.
Yeah, it was good. It was so good.
It's a
man.
good watch, man.
I guess that's the reason why I like doing social media so much is because the only one controlling my destiny on the social media stuff is me. And that's why, I would like to eventually get to do this full time if it permits it. It's seeming more and more realistic as things progress to be able to make that transition. But
Next time we talk,
You'll be full time.
next time you're on the pod at least. Next time you're on the pod at least.
My goal is end of Q2 2025. That is
Okay.
like my
That's
goal
realistic.
to like.
Yeah.
I want to give it another 14 months, see where things are, and then hopefully I can transition to full time. But like, no one's pushing me to do this other than myself. Like most of my friends make fun of me for it in a fun way, like a playful way. I don't think they understand the potential behind social media and like the numbers that it can do. And I tell them like this brand paid me X, or I made this on this app from just viewership, and they're like, oh, that's cool, but I don't think it's still like realistic of what the opportunities are. Like I was talking to a pretty big YouTuber last night who's trying to coach me on building up my YouTube channel, and he was telling me about like, hey, you should build Snapchat, right? Like you need to get on Snapchat. I was like, Snapchat? Like why would I be on Snapchat? He's like, some of my buddies are making like $30K a day on Snapchat.
Oh
I'm like,
shit, huh?
I was like, get out of here. And he's just, but it's just the power of social media and advertising revenue is crazy, but it is so challenging. Like I get so irritated that my biggest following is on the app that doesn't pay you anything. Like TikTok pays you, Facebook pays you, YouTube pays you, Instagram does not. They were when we were talking, but they stopped in spring of 2023. Their Reels bonuses programs where you would just get paid viewership. They cut that, which sucks. So now it's like I don't make anything on Instagram, and it is my largest following. Now YouTube, that's the biggest moneymaker, but that's the biggest beast. You guys both know of how hard it is to build a viewership on YouTube, because it seems like you have to build organically in each place. Like it's very hard to pull followers from one platform to another. Like sending TikTok followers to Instagram doesn't happen.
No.
Sending
there.
Instagram to TikTok doesn't happen.
Right.
So now I've gotten some traction doing some giveaways of like, hey, follow my YouTube, because that's really the only one I care about now. That's like the final frontier for me, because I feel like if I can get, a couple 100,000 followers on YouTube, that'll snowball over time, but that at least pays you enough to be able to do this full time.
To make the leap, yeah.
But it's like, even still, it's like, I gave away an N64 for a YouTube following, and I got like 1,500 followers, which again is not insignificant.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many of those are like just my loyal friends who are doing it as a favor versus people that was just like, all right, I'll go follow you because I want to go win an Xbox. And it's super aggravating too to just see some people that it only takes like one, even like a YouTube short video. All it takes is one like mega viral YouTube short video, and you can get 100,000 followers, and that'll jumpstart your YouTube
creation career. Yeah.
And it's like an ego thing. It's like I don't feel like a content creator until I have like 100,000 subs on YouTube. That is my milestone in my mind. Like the battle, like everybody fight their battles. My battle is like, if I am not in myself, like being humble, I am not a content creator until I hit this milestone. Once I hit that, okay, I'll officially say I'm a content creator.
Okay.
But I don't know. Like people say it's like, no, you're Instagram famous, but it's like, I just care.
But what does that even mean?
That's what I mean. It's like,
Like,
okay,
what does that mean?
It gets me some exposure to like some brand deals, which is cool. Like it's opened up doors.
But it's funny because like until you've done it, until you've actually been a creator and realized the rigmarole, like people don't understand what the numbers mean.
Yeah.
Like
They just think you're
they
balling.
don't get it.
Yeah, no, everybody's like, "Oh, aren't you doing this full time?" And I'm like,
Yeah, they
no.
say the same shit to us.
They just say they see it's like, "Oh, you have 3 million followers on Instagram. You got to be making shit tons of money." It's like, not really, because Instagram doesn't really pay. Now I get paid from brand deals, but that's about it. Or anything like I have an Amazon shop link. I made like 3 viral videos. I had a like a Sega Genesis, a Super Nintendo, and a Sega Dreamcast Christmas ornament. And so I made a couple videos of just like showing them off.
Those are dope, by the way.
They went mega viral.
Yeah.
Like they all had like 5 to 10 million views, and I got like 50 cents or $1 from Amazon for every one that was sold, but I sold like 6,000 units. So it was like $5,000 from those 3 ornaments that I posted. But again, I think people just have this like overinflated view of like how much you're actually making. And I've debated like polling my audience to be like, do you want me to disclose what I make? Would that like actually make you want to engage with me more or like me more if I just am like transparent about because I do see some content creators are like, I made XYZ. This is what I got paid, and people seem to really appreciate that. I find it funny. Like people are like, you
Like,
must make so much money.
break
I'm
down
like,
what you make,
no, I don't. I want to.
Yeah.
Trust
Yeah.
me. But it's just, I don't know. I think they just see all these other influencers that either flex like they're making a lot of money, or they do. Like I know I'm personal friends with some content creators that make a crap ton, like 7 figures on being a content creator, and that would one day be the end goal. I'm just not there
It's
yet.
doable.
Yeah.
It's doable. It's just there's so many thresholds they have to cross to get there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think you just alluded to it with Instagram. People automatically assume because of X amount of followers or X amount of subscribers or whatever the case may be, oh, this guy's balling.
Yeah.
He's doing this full time. But it's like you don't really know the nuts and bolts. And the fact that Instagram is changing things, the fact that YouTube changes algorithms, and the fact that you're constantly going up against that.
Yeah.
And new content coming into the market. It's a constant battle.
Yeah, Instagram had a massive algorithm change in my perspective. I can't no one can confirm unless you work at Meta, but it was just like I saw all the growth I was having again, and then in January it just plummeted, and I didn't do anything different. I didn't change any of like my times that I was making posts. Content was still the same. It was just like everything slowed down, and I've heard that from a bunch of creators. They're like, my views have cratered, like I'm losing followers. It's been like really slow to gain traction. And I think I think they just test you, or they test creators. It's like a forcing you to create new content because they don't want you to. I think it's their way of secretly saying you either need to evolve or
get out.
Yeah, because we're not going to keep sending traffic your way for doing the same thing over and over, which I think is good. It's like a coach behind the scenes of like pushing you to your limits, but it also gets like super aggravating where you feel like you finally have a rhythm, you have something down, and then it's just like, nope, it's taken a dive. But I would say the coolest thing about Instagram is that it's opened doors to conversations to people I did not think I would ever have conversations with. Like, I'm not going to name names. I've talked to A-list celebrities on Instagram or A-list athletes, and it's like, I just am like, this, and sometimes it's initiated from them. Like, I'll get a follow from someone like, you started following me? I immediately follow back just because it's like they're a big name. And then they send me a DM, and I'm like, is this person really talking to me? Because I personally don't think I'm very interesting or cool, but they just have the perception of who I am on the internet. But that's the coolest thing, where it's like I can say to my friends, oh, I talked to so-and-so or this person. And it's just like, that is such a cool, the fact that I like now seeing it 20 years ago, did I ever think I'd have a conversation with XYZ? It's like, no. Yeah. And I got to chat with this person. That is cool. That's awesome to me.
Yeah. And I think I could say the same about what we've done over here. We've had some amazing people on the show that would have never talked to if it wasn't for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, opening those doors for yourselves and paving the way a little bit for opportunities. And who knows where that could lead.
And networking. Like, networking is a very, like, that's not tangible dollars, but it has a very high value to it, because it's like, hey, there's this open job opportunity for, being an actor, being a voice actor, or being a creative, being a writer, or, being a stand-in, whatever. I think there's a lot of value to that. So I'm always for all the people I connect with, I'm all about just building relationships. It's not a quid pro quo. I'm not trying to gain anything from you. I just want to build some sort of relationship. Like, I had a person reach out. He's got like 2 million followers, 3 million followers on YouTube. He's like, hey, and we've had some conversations. He's like, hey, I have this business I'm starting. How much is going to cost for me to promote it? And I'm just like, I'm not going to charge you anything, because like, I want to network with other prolific content creators. I'd much rather get advice from you on how I can grow, and I'll absolutely promote your stuff if you can help coach me, because I don't want to take advantage of people that I feel like could benefit me in my own growth.
Well, karma is a real thing.
Correct.
I believe in that.
Yeah, but if it's like a multi-billion-dollar company, I'm not going to give them favors. I don't have any loyalty there.
No, I feel you on that. I do.
No, I think that's a great approach all around, because you never know what opportunity could present itself.
Correct.
And I've always held that mentality in this business. Like, you never know who you're going to bump into, who's going to see it, who's going to come on. It's like, hey, let me introduce you to so-and-so. And then next thing you know, you're going down a whole nother avenue. So it's like, it's good to keep those doors open, and those possibilities.
Absolutely. And just build friendships, right? Because you never, like you said, you never know. I mean, it's word of mouth, or it's like in any job, right? I think companies don't hire the most qualified people. I think most companies hire who so-and-so recommended to hire. Like,
it's true.
That's a good point.
I agree with that.
Like, I just got my buddy a job at where I work, or I had some influence of like, hey, this guy's really good. I think you should hire him. And I think it was because of that push that
the reference
got it. And who knows? Like, of course, I don't want to discredit them on their own merit, but again, I think it really is who you know relative to how qualified you are. So, but I enjoy it. I like meeting new people all the time.
Yeah, I would agree. I definitely there's time that I allocate for that, like the business side of it, doing podcasts and being out in the market, networking. But then I also like closing the doors and then doing my own thing.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, that balance. Moderation is key.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's constantly evolving. Like, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You might get a DM from some sort of media outlet like you guys. There might be a media company that wants to buy out your rights, or they want to bring you on as a partner podcast. Like, you never know what tomorrow brings. And
I've always held that.
Yeah, we're going to keep showing up. And that's the that's the thing about being consistent and actually committing, is like, it's not always meant to be easy. Like, it should be a little difficult. And like the insights that you have as well on, I think it's important to kind of talk about some of this stuff and have it on the recording too, is like some of those deeper insights of like what it takes to be a creator, what to expect, like how it's a long journey. Like, you really should only create whatever you want to create if it's like passionate for you, if it if it creates this passion. And then also speaking with like, you know, celebrities and stuff, like one thing that I wanted to notate there is truly, I'm sure what you've experienced is that like everyone is a peer. Actually, we're all equal.
We're all people.
Yeah.
Like,
and even though like, you know, we got Justin 90s Kid on here crushing Instagram, like, no, like you're Justin.
Yeah.
And you've shared awesome insights, and like, you know, there's this whole human experience behind what you're doing, and like people that view the content don't necessarily understand the human experience behind it. So I love the insight on all that. We do ask a question. We asked you last time.
Yep.
Before we conclude.
Yeah.
He's ready for it.
And so has your piece of advice for humanity changed since last time you came on? So if you could give one piece of advice, the whole world sees it and listens to it, what's that piece of advice so everyone could be better tomorrow?
I think the one piece of advice that I've learned, or I think is more important now, is if you're always putting other people ahead of you, you're always going to be unhappy. I have found that as like a core truth, like especially coming from social media and doing something that, coming out of my comfort zone to do this, I never would have thought of. And I think for a lot of people, they're influenced by outside noise, either their parents, their friends, maybe people they trust that says, don't do this, it's dumb, there's a high failure rate, you're probably not going to be successful, stick to something that's solid or, you know, you have confidence in. And I think that's such a disservice to people defining their own voice or their own calling in this world. And people can, I just think you can really dissuade people from chasing their dreams, which I don't think is what you're put on this planet to do. So I think if you feel in your heart of hearts that you should be doing something or you want to try something out, go for it. I did this on just a whim, and it's evolved into something pretty cool. It's like a nice side business, honestly, to help supplement my income and hopefully transition to a full-time career. But I could have very easily had someone say, this is stupid, you should stop spending so much time on this. And if I had listened to that, then I would have never gotten to this point. So for a lot of people, I think they should just...
So how long did it take you from when you had your very first idea to like, all right, let me do a nostalgic video, to like where you actually did it and just said fuck it and made it? Like what did that look like? Very first.
So I started on TikTok first at the beginning of 2022, and I made a couple videos. They went viral, not like mega viral, but they got a couple 100,000 views, and it jump started to getting followers. And then within like 6 months on TikTok, I had almost 200,000 followers. So I felt like I felt kind of cool. I was like, oh, this is sweet. And then I had like some sort of shadow ban from a video that got flagged, and so I stalled. And so I almost quit at that point. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try Instagram, see how it relates. I had one video. Again, I had this dumb Walmart video that popped off, and it got 26 million views.
That's the one with the surge can?
Yeah.
I love that one. That's so good.
And it just, I got 50,000 followers from that one video.
Wow.
And it just started exponentially growing from there. And I guess that's why it only takes something so simple, right? It took one video to skyrocket what this platform is, and that could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be content creation. It could be one phone call on a sales meeting, or it could be one interview that changes your whole outlook on life, or like your whole destiny. And so I think I think people are just so scared of being stuck in the norm or being controlled by other people. And when I say controlled, I don't mean in necessarily a nefarious way, but I think people just are always listening to other people without listening to their own voice. And I think that has a massive impact on what their potential is out there. So just chase your dreams. That's what I would say.
That's great advice. I mean, and you broke it down in a way that it's so relatable. I mean, we were talking about this before we went on mic earlier about not necessarily listening to the outside noise.
It's serendipitous that was your advice, because we
were literally just having
before you came in here, we were talking the same shit.
Yeah, we were. And you're right. It's to quote Logan, who was on our show years ago, don't wait for somebody, go get your own.
Yeah.
Or don't do it for somebody, do it for yourself.
Yeah.
You can apply it to relationships, work situations, creation aspects, any of it, like you just mentioned. I think that's tremendous advice.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have no one to blame but yourself. No one has control over your life more than you do. Yeah, I mean, maybe some people have influence on your life just from a monetary aspect or just a relationship aspect. But again, what are you going to do? You're going to look back and you're going to be like, man, I wish I did all this stuff. I don't want to have that where it's like, I could have done this and I probably could have been successful, but
I never
time
tried.
has passed. Like you said, life's fleeting at any point in time. Like your time could be called and that's it. So you might as well maximize the time you got now.
Full send. Get after it.
I love that advice. So being a monster in the dark, coming up with your own things, following your intuition, doing it within 3 to 5 seconds of thinking about it, saying fuck what Joe Bob thinks, and just live a little bit, like be present. Like, I mean, these are all principles that, again, it's easy to say this shit, it's easy to talk about it here, but when you actually apply it and you go into that beast mode, like where you actually are like, I'm going to do this, I don't care what anyone else says, and I'm going to do it to the best of my capability for me. Yeah. Like you're doing this for you like that. Who knows? You might pop off and then get like 4 million followers on your shit real quick. That might happen. So I know we're celebrating the success, man. We love you as an individual. Yeah. Again, cheers to your success.
Cheers, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming in here. You're going to be a constant fixture here at Discussion Combustion.
In the wheelhouse permanent.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we're so happy that we network and got involved with you as a person, man.
Yeah, ground floor.
Absolutely.
What I was trying to remember, who referred me? You
Clint.
still friends with him?
Yeah, so Clint's our good buddy, of course, and he's like, you got to get this guy on.
Yeah.
And then it's just funny because like the story I told in the opening, my brother shared one of your videos Facebook, not knowing anything. Yeah. And so it's just cool to see everything come full circle. And I think
Clint was excited that you were coming back.
He was.
Because I was trying to think. It's like, how did I get him on the first time? It was that guy who was like, oh, I have some buddies down in Denver. You need to go on. I was like, okay.
Yeah. That's he's just a good guy, man. He's always looking out for us and looking for opportunities, and I'm glad it worked out.
I've known him since like second grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like a long time friend like that. Like I did all the stupid shit when we were teenagers.
I have a feeling that you just motivated him to do a 21-day fast because we know Clint.
Or dude, try a 3-day fast. Just because a 3-day fast to at least like get your toes wet and just be like, sure. I could do this. You'll probably drop like 5 pounds.
I have a planned detox second half of this month. Okay. I'm going to Mardi Gras next week.
Oh,
so when I get back from Mardi Gras, that's what I'm going to do.
What's crazy too is Mardi Gras is the day before Valentine's Day, so you could like find a
mega
boo.
party.
Yeah, you could find a boo, take her out to dinner the next day. How long are you going to be in New Orleans?
4 days. I'll be there 4 days. Yeah, it's going to be good.
We're having to adjust our podcast schedule a little bit, but you can always count on the content
be
here.
Safe.
Yes.
It's a wild time.
Get the beads. Have some fun down there. That's going to be good, man. And before we get out of here, Justin, of course, where do the people go? Our listeners, viewers, where do they get in touch? Where do they follow you?
Yeah, TikTok, Instagram, 90s Kid for Life, YouTube as well. All the same handle. Check it out. If you love nostalgia, if you like someone who makes fun of himself a lot, it's a good time.
It is good stuff. I can defend that. I watch it frequently. It brings me some joy, so hopefully it brings you some joy as well. We'll include those links down in the show notes, of course. We're going to get on out of here, man. So much fun. Let's get you back on around that Q2 25 when you're full-time. Grand Theft Auto 6 will be out by then,
that's
so
right.
we'll have some things to talk about there.
It's going to be a good year. 2025 No, that's not World Cup. That's 2026. But
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be a tremendous year. Keep on trucking. Wish you continued success, man.
Appreciate
Super
it,
awesome. You're humble, man. Thanks for sharing some time with us tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Be good to yourselves. You deserve it.